The Indianapolis Colts have a lot to be psyched about this offseason, including some news that broke this afternoon. All that and more on this video. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day, and we are just 4 days away from the start of minicamp. By the time this video releases, we'll actually only be 3 days away from the start of minicamp, or training camp, excuse me. Which is huge, which is incredible. This is the thing that we've waited for. There's been this like lull from the time of OTAs ending to the beginning of training camp, and the lull is finally coming to an end, and we get football once again. But something came out today, and it was actually posted by Michael Pittman Jr., that I think should have Colts fans and players and coaches and really anyone who's following the Colts or preparing to face the Colts really, really excited. And that is, I'll show it here. This clip here from Michael Pittman Jr.'s Instagram, where it shows that they had a pre-orchestrated pre-camp in Cali this weekend. And you see those in attendance are Anthony Richardson, Sam Ehlinger, Kedon Slovis, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, A.D. Mitchell, DJ Montgomery, Anthony Gould, Ethan Furna, Jonathan Taylor, Evan Hull, and Trey Sermon. Now, while that, like, in and of itself is, like, really cool and encouraging, I also think that it shows that we truly have the leader on our team and the leader of this culture that maybe we either didn't recognize or haven't truly appreciated enough. Since the time of me following the Indianapolis Colts, we had Peyton Manning, who was a clear on the field leader. You had Reggie Wayne was good, Marvin Harrison was good, but they weren't like the clear leaders. And then you went straight from that into the Andrew Luck era. And Andrew Luck was good, and he felt like an on the field leader. Then you had T.Y. Hilton for a while, who also felt like another one of those guys. But since then, we've not really had the on-the-field leader. And I would actually argue that Jacoby Brissett, in his years that he played with the Indianapolis Colts, did kind of carry more of the culture than I think any of us realize. I remember the pick six celebration where all the defense goes out and quarterback Jacoby Brissett, which I thought was really, really fun and encouraging. But this shows that Michael Pittman Jr. is the guy that is going to lead, that is like paving the way for this new culture. And if you're facing the Colts, or if you're a fan of the Colts, this is something that is different. This isn't something that's normal, especially with a small market team like the Indianapolis Colts. And by all metrics or regards, this should excite a lot of people, especially myself. Not only that, but the fact that this is an optional thing. 2 years ago, we're talking about guys missing optional camps. Last year, we're talking about Jonathan Taylor missing not only optional, but he missed significant time due to contract disputes and due to injury. We're talking about a group of guys who didn't have to do anything, but instead all got together at in a facility in California and all collectively got to work together. And I think that if you're talking about not only your rookies, but your guys like Anthony Richardson, this builds so much chemistry. Any opportunity that you get to be on the field together, I think should be counted as something that's really encouraging. But not only that, but the vibes are just very different with this Colts team than they have been in years past. Yeah, like I said, 2 years ago, you see, or 3 years ago, we had Carson Wentz, and the vibes were kind of there, but they really weren't all that much. And then you had Matt Ryan, who has never been one to carry the vibes of anything ever in the history. He's the most vanilla guy in the history of ever. But the vibes for the Indianapolis Colts are so incredibly different now. This is a report that came out a couple days ago, but it just shows, I think, the heart for this team in the city. And this is from James Boyd over at, or the report is from Andrew Thomason, but it comes from the tweet from James Boyd, and that is that Anthony Richardson showed up to a high school at Speedway High School to donate new helmets to the team's football program, and you're just seeing already the heart for the community of Indianapolis and the Indiana area to be able to donate something, and whether or not this is like charitable for tax purposes or whatever, I still find it incredibly encouraging that a second-year quarterback who's only gotten to play in 5 games before being, his season being ended, is already investing into this community. And this is what he says. He got to give back to the community, training with his teammates in Cali and showing up in person to Surprise Speedway. And then obviously seeing like how much he missed football this past year. I think that this team is just incredibly different. And the one thing that was brought up about Adonai Mitchell when he was drafted was that he really seemed like a very selfish player. There were like all these talks about things that were said and whether or not, which by the way, I might add on a little caveat to that. The dude left he was a back-to-back champion at Georgia, left Georgia to go to Texas for his daughter. So I wouldn't say that the dude is selfish by any means. I think that I absolutely agree with Chris Ballard, and that report is absolute BS. But I will say this: for a guy who has no buy-in yet, to be one of the few guys that go to this camp in Cali, Adonai Mitchell is there, DJ Montgomery's there, Anthony Gould's there. That's another player that we're excited to see come out this offseason. And it just shows that not only is this team so incredibly different than it was 4 years ago, 3 years ago, but that Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be the one to set guys like Anthony Richardson up for success because he's carrying the culture on his back. To be able to like organize an event as someone who has to organize events for a living is terrible, let alone trying to get a bunch of star athletes together in California to work out and do pre-camp stuff. I think this should be looked at as something incredibly encouraging and exciting. But not only that, but you're also seeing the running back room start to shift. We talked about that a couple videos ago of who's going to be running back 2. And you're seeing the primary candidates for running back 2, Evan Hull and Trey Sermon, are right there. And I think that's really cool. And there's one other thing that I want to bring up, and that is a video came out last weekend. So there was this weekend. We obviously just got this. This is less than like a couple hours old. At 9:31 p.m. We're recording this at 11 p.m. So less than an hour and a half. This video has been out about this pre-camp in Cali. But a video came out last weekend of Jonathan Taylor, training with Frank Gore Jr. Melvin Gordon was there. So he's not only is he going to these camp in Cali, but he's also going and training with other running backs. He's training with one of the greatest of all time and well-known now Colt, Frank Gore, and being able to train with them and being able to improve his game. So we saw Jonathan Taylor last year, and a lot of people were like talking about the contract. It was a big deal. It was one of the biggest talks of the offseason last year when really the focus should have been on Anthony Richardson. And whose fault it is, I have no idea. But I will say this. To see a guy who was painted in the media as one way, as being very selfish and self-centered, again, like Adonai Mitchell was this year, to now he's going and training and doing more and more training. This doesn't seem like a guy who feels like he is the best, but feels like he could constantly get better. And again, as a Colts fan, I'm incredibly encouraged by what we've seen the past 2 weekends, and I am, dare to say, psyched about what is going to come this offseason. So be sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, because we're going to be covering everything that comes out in training camp this season or this week, and then as we get moving forward to preseason and then going into the season. So be sure to subscribe and be a part of this community, and we'll see you on the next one.